Greetings, Geek Buddies, and welcome to episode 3 of Nick the Geek's Bleach Reviews. This was a fantastic episode, March of the Starcross. I feel like this was the final stage-setting episode before everything kicks off, and it really does kick off by the end of this episode, so let's just get straight into it. Okay, the episode opens on Quillhay OP, one of the stern writers from last week, standing over the presumed bodies of Hallibel's Fractio, with Ichigo looking on, holding Nell. He then basically talks to Ichigo, asking him, why did you come here if you didn't know who we were in the first place? And then reveals that he and the others are Quincy's that are attacking the Soul Society and are attacking Lake Mundo. He then jumps Ichigo, uses a shadow clone technique, for lack of a better term, fires a shed load of arrows at Ichigo, presume that Ichigo is injured. We cut then to Squad 1 barracks, where Old Man Yama calls for all the captains to prepare for war in 5 days. As the Von den Reich have said, in 5 days they will invade the Soul Society. We then cut back to Quillhay and Ichigo. Ichigo has caught, it's a beast of a moment. Ichigo catches Quillhay's arrows, throws it back at him, and explains it's the same technique as Uryu. You really think you were going to get me with that one? But it was stronger somehow. Quillhay is amazed by this. He says, Uryu Ishida, yet my attack was stronger than his. That's not possible. And it carries on for a while. They cut back. They have an absolutely fantastic back and forth fight. It goes on for ages until Quillhay takes on a new form called the Volstendish, which is a similar form to Uryu from an earlier season where Uryu grew wings. This guy literally grows wings made of reishi and chakra, and he gets incredible power up from it, and he goes on the attack. This then cuts to Yuha, who is giving the order to all the Sternritter to arm, develop, and get ready to invade the Soul Society. It's all about to kick off. It's just, I'm so excited for this. It's going to be so good. The Sternritter are possibly the best enemies in the history of Bleach for the way they are designed alone. Their powers are very unique. It's going to be great. Really. We then cut to back to Ichigo versus Quillhay OP, where Quillhay is starting to get the upper hand, and then out of nowhere, Ion, the beast of the Fractio, the Hallibel's Fractio, are able to summon, appears, grabs Quillhay, and starts just mashing him into the ground repeatedly over and over and over again. We then cut to Uryu Ishida in a library, his father Ryuken's library, a character who we do not see very often throughout the history of Bleach, Ryuken Ishida. Obviously, no spoilers yet, but Ryuken is a very important character in the show. His history alone makes a massive impact on the story of Bleach. Uryu is looking for answers. Wants to find out if these people are Quincy's, wants to find out what's going on, but Ryuken tells him this is none of your business, and the answers you are searching for you won't find here. Uryu continues to search, and later on finds his master's journal. We then cut back to Quillhay and Ichigo's fight, where Ion is absolutely rinsing Quillhay. He breaks his neck, does everything, and then out of nowhere, Quillhay just stabs one of Hallibel's Fractio, and she's floating over his body. He gets up, he unbreaks his neck. He begins to absorb all the reishi from the surrounding area, including that of Chad and Orihime, who are trying to protect Nell at this time, but all of the reishi in the surrounding area is being destroyed. Ion, the beast, charges at Quillhay, but he is completely made of spiritual pressure and reishi, so he is absorbed by Quillhay. Quillhay then takes on a new monstrous form with eyes growing in his wings, Ion's eyes growing in his wings. He gets mutated monster arms, he has a tail. It looks really, really, really cool. Then Ichigo just jumps in from nowhere and shatters the disc that's forming on his back out of reishi. Basically, he's worked out that if he breaks this disc, you can't use the full power of your spell or your skill, whatever you want to call it. It's very, very good. We then come back to, where are we? We then cut to the Soul Society, where Squad 13's 6th seat, Hojitomo Kajiramu, if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm probably not, I'm butchering it, but I'll try my best, is explaining to a couple of rookies just why the Quincy's and the Soul Reapers are at odds. He's explaining the fact that the Soul Reapers used to be known as the Balancers, and their job is to maintain the balance of souls between the real world and the Soul Society. Because if that balance ever goes too out of balance, then the two worlds will merge and it will destroy both the Soul Society and the human world. He starts to read it and he's shocked by what he finds within. His father walks in the room. Mirio demands to know if what is in here is true. If what is in here about the ancient Quincy's and the Vandenreich is true, and the Quincy King, the one known as His Majesty, how can all of this be true? And Ryukin simply tells him, this is none of your business. And Uryu runs off in a rage. We then cut back to Squad 1 Barracks, where Mayuri, head of research and development, is talking to Captain Yamamoto. He's explaining the fact that the 28,000 souls that disappeared from the Ryokan district were done by Mayuri. Mayuri sacrificed these souls, enabling them to quickly maintain the balance and repair the damage done by the Vandenreich's attack on the human world when they eliminated all of its hollows back in episode 1. He then proceeds to chew out Captain Yamamoto, explaining that none of this would be happening, Yama, if you had had the guts and the fortitude to kill that man 1,000 years ago, but you failed. He is, of course, referring to Yuha Black. Yuha, who had a fight with Captain Yamamoto 1,000 years ago, and Yamamoto would have won, but Yamamoto refused to kill him. We do not know yet why. Well, I know why, but I'm not going to tell you. I know why, but I'm not going to tell you yet. But it's going to kick off soon. It really is. We then cut back to Quillhay being stomped, as I said, by the Fraction. He absorbs it. We go back into Ichigo. We then cut from this. After Ichigo jumps back into the fray, destroys the disc, starts his fight up with Quillhay again. We cut to Pesce and Kisuke Urahara, who are on their way to save Don DeChopper still. Pointless scene, really, but it's necessary just to let everybody know where Urahara is, as he's very powerful. We then cut back to Uryu talking to Ryukin. More of the again, and eventually, as I say, he just runs off. And we come back to the Soul Society, and the invasion occurs. It's fantastic. It cuts back to the 6th seat talking to the rookies, and then out of nowhere, massive pillar of blue energy and blue spiritual pressures just appears in front of them, and then another one appears in another part of the Soul Society, and another one appears, and eventually I think there's 10. These are members of the Sturmritter. These are Yuha's lieutenants. These are the most powerful members of the Quincy force, and they are invading. We get to see Basby, who uses fire. Basby shows up, just breaks through a load of Soul Reapers, and then just points his finger at one of them, and bang, blows his head off like a grape. It's going to be amazing. All the others appear. I'm not going to tell you all of their names now because I don't want to spoil anything. But it was a phenomenal episode this week. Artwork, tremendous, as per usual. As I said, I believe this was the last stage setting episode before everything kicks off next week. I'm so happy to see Bleach back. The animation is top notch, the music is top notch, the cinematography is top notch, the story is fantastic, but Tite Kubo is an amazing writer, so we all knew it was going to be a good story. I cannot wait for next week's episode, Fall of the Shadow, I believe it's called, or To Kill the Shadow, depending on translation. I cannot wait. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this was informative, and if you like what we do here at GeekBuddy, if you enjoy the content we put out, please consider leaving a like, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out. It's free, and it's the only way the YouTube algorithm really knows we exist. So thank you very much for joining me. This has been Bleach Reviews. I've been Nick the Geek, and I will see you next time. Bye.